Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. This is our first roundtable on the farm toy collecting hobby, and we decided this last summer, in conjunction with the National Farm Toy Museum in Dyersville, that we wanted to do something to help promote the hobby, help build it, and share with other people a lot of the good experiences and the good things that have happened for us since we've been farm toy collectors. My name's Dale Bernard. I've been collecting farm toys. Yeah, too long. All right, but anyway, I love doing it. The kind of collector that I am is I'm looking for specific pieces, tractors, implements, trucks, things that were on our farm when I grew up. We had a pretty good size operation. And so for me, the real fun, the real joy is searching for that perfect piece that matches or closely matches the kind of equipment that we had on the farm. And it's always a fun endeavor because you never know what you're going to find. And for me, one of the greatest things is all the people that I've met and gotten to know in this hobby, and just the fun that we've had. And like today, look forward to coming to this show for weeks on end because we knew who we were going to see, and we knew it was going to be a good show, and so we're just very anxious to do it. I will pass this around and let the other folks introduce themselves and what their relationship is to the hobby. So we'll start out with Mr. Steffans.
Thank you, Dale. Chuck Steffans here. We've got Chucky's Precision Pullers and parts in there. A lot of 16th and 64 scale parts. Been basically a toy collector all my life. You know, went through the old evolution of everybody else started toys at home. And every once in a while, you started modifying them to make them more personalized, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And got myself where right now we got close to 450 items that we are selling online and through the shows here. Like Dale, the hobby has been just tremendous to me. The amount of people I've got to meet through the hobby, the camaraderie I've had, the knowledge I've had. I've met some of the most humble, down-to-earth people with talent and skill beyond belief. It's done so much more than toys to so many people that I felt that we need to do something more for the hobby itself. You know, give more people an opportunity to experience what we're experiencing here. Through the whole deal here, through the museum, that was one of the focuses I want to do is make sure it ain't open to any certain scale, any truck, cars, we don't care. You know, it's all about the hobby, it's all about us, it's all about the connection to the people, you know, and it's all about getting together. The toys anymore have become a second-hand thing to us, you know, it's become more about us getting together, you know, and sharing the knowledge, sharing the wealth of knowledge that's available to us now. I myself, I want to do it. You know, I have these guys here, they were just as passionate about it as me. I've seen this hobby do so much more to people than feed toys, you know, where it's helped them through major life crises, you know, and some way we want to look at having the ability to pay back. And we're looking for knowledge, we're looking for any type of help we can get, you know, to do that. So, onto that, I'll let this go on to Jeremy and let him introduce himself.
Hello everybody, Jeremy Richards. I mostly just custom build. I farm for a living, so custom building kind of the stress reliever and relax time for me. Get away, be rolling on the south, and bounce around. Just kind of relax, get away, and like Chuck said, friends you make around here, the camaraderie there is, getting to know some of these guys. It's been fun. And I don't know, it keeps building beyond what I thought it'd be. And, you know, the orders I get, and, you know, friends I've made, it's unbelievable. So we'll give it to Mr. Brockmann over here.
Thank you. My name is John Brockmann, and like Jeremy here, I farm. And when I met my wife about 25 years ago, she says, all you do is work. So he said, you need a hobby. So I said, we always liked farm toys. So I said, we got into that. Didn't even know there was such things as toy shows. And the more people we met, and the more equipment we saw, it just snowballed. Now I've got a pretty sizable collection of custom-made things and doing customizing myself. So it's just like everybody else said. It's the camaraderie. It's the people we've met. We've had a good time. Been all over the country visiting people and their collections, and we'd like to be able to pass this on to the next generation and make sure this keeps going. So with that, I'll pass on to Kelly.
Hello, my name is Kelly Multscher. I grew up on a farm in Iowa. My family still farms down there, and that's how I got into the collecting habit as a kid. So I've been collecting all my life, but I'm more into the display building and scratch building equipment and buildings. That's what I'm into, and I know this group got started, or the idea for it, to pass on a lot of these skills and knowledge to kids that are asking questions, especially coming up now. Because I can remember, I was just talking about this today with somebody, back in the day, a lot of the older customizers or scratch builders or displayers, they wouldn't even tell you where they got something from. You know, if you asked them, how'd you make that, or where'd you get that from? Oh, I can't tell you this, you know. So we're trying to get away from that, help people out a little bit on that end. And that's what I'm here for.
My name is Jay Roltgen. Kind of like everybody else, grew up in a small dairy farm in Wisconsin. Well, maybe not Wisconsin, unfortunately. But, yeah, same thing. I just remember as a kid getting ag farm toys. My aunt gave me a backhoe, I think, when I was 3, and it was one of my favorite things. I think I always knew I was going to be the equipment operator, and yeah, I kind of drifted off. I've mostly been a 150th construction guy. Still have my ag roots, but yeah, I'm kind of the blend of the old school and the new school. Started out just doing a lot of stuff. You know, you just take a flat sheet of brass and, you know, you make what you need to make out of it. You know, and like Kelly's talking about, I've always been fortunate enough to bump into the right people who kind of gave me a heads up, helped me out where they could. And, you know, the only thing they ever asked in return is just, hey, pay it forward to the next guy. And I think that's what I tried to follow through is, you know, you see all the young bucks coming up and they got questions and, you know, you're not going to hold their hand the whole way, but, you know, give them a little bit of a path and go from there. So that's me.
Hi, my name is Doug Simon. Grew up collecting 64th farm toys all my life. Got into the display building, probably 15 years ago. Mother worked at Earl, and got the Earl Fine Country place. That's every year for Christmas or birthdays or whatnot. So that just got the itch going there. And like the other guys I mentioned, this has become a big gathering of friends and friendships and whatnot, and just so happens that there's farm toys here too. So, and it's always neat to see the kids come up to ask questions and whatnot, and it's just, we're just really promoting the next step of the hobby and the next hobbyist, and really hoping to see that move forward.
Hello, everybody. Most people know me here. I'm Chris Steeb. A lot of people don't know, other than a few of you, that I actually, that's why Chucky asked me to possibly sit on this, is I have a 4,000 piece 1/16 collection. I'm known as a 64th guy now because of the displays and the 64th customs, but the one thing, like Doug said, and I want to reiterate, is the big reason I'd like to see this come back to is I've always treated it as a family reunion. It was 35 years ago at this show. I won my first trophy at the age of 10 because of help of people like Kathy's husband, Claire, and you know, Coleman Wheatley and such, sitting up here in the banquet halls and such, looking at what I've done as a 9-year-old kid, going, well, you're doing a good job here, but you tweak this a little bit, and so you can make it better. So with the help of people like them and Barb and Charlie Burkholder, because that's how I really grew to the show, was I was their kid helping sell all you 1/16 guys parts, and so like I said, I really treat these shows as family reunions. I love seeing the customs in all scales. Like I said, still a collector and want to see it continue to go where it is and get better.
Thank you, gentlemen. one of the things that we wanted to accomplish here was to talk a little bit about some of our activities that we've already started in conjunction with the National Farm Toy Museum in Dyersville. And they've been very supportive, and we've been very supportive. It's kind of like you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. And Amanda, who runs it, has been very, very supportive, because I think she knows that the more we support her, the more that museum is going to be able to offer. And you really need to go. If you haven't gone, you need to go. But I think most everybody here has probably done that. But so we're working with them pretty closely. We basically got started this last summer, talked about some activities that we could do. Got a Facebook page going with the National Farm Toy Museum, and you young guys know how to do that. All I know is how to click on it. That's about it. So, and then one of the activities that we were able to do this past fall was have a custom truck built at the Farm Toy Show in Dyersville. And Jay put it together, basically, and he got the chassis for over 100 trucks, and we just started on Saturday afternoon with a bunch of kids, and we tore trucks apart, and we put trucks back together, and everybody had a great time. 108. Yeah, 108? 108. Wow. So, you know, that's one of the things that we thought would really help promote the hobby, especially with younger kids. The great thing about it is you see those kids come up and you go, hey, you want to build a truck? And they go, oh. So we got them up there, we got the drills out, we started tearing stuff apart, which is the big fun of making anything. First tearing it apart, okay, it's putting it back together, that's the hard part. So, but with Jay's guidance, things went very, very well. And we're hoping to repeat that again. Okay, we might have like outkicked our coverage on that one, but
That was a big first step. That was a big, bold first step.
So, do you have any comments about that? Because I told him my thoughts. He was the biggest organizer.
It was, again, it was just a bunch of people kind of poking and prodding. You know, I blame Chuck. You know, I don't know, I had been to Dyersville in quite a while, and yeah, like I said, I'm kind of an old school builder, you know, used to do it the old way. You know, long story short, I busted up my wing, had some time off, taught myself CAD, and yeah, I mean, technology is a double-edged sword, but the stuff that used to take me 40 hours and a few grand to replicate, you know, I can sit down for 6-8 hours and, you know, have 3D printed in a week. And like I said, I think we're going to discuss the whole tech side of it, but yeah, I was just kind of learning that. Yeah, I showed up with a few 3D printed frames, just kind of as far as pulling trucks, and you know, I was just trying to simplify the process, give a more detailed product, and you know, I gave a few to Chuck and some of the other people to hand out to the kids. And again, I guess for me, people have always helped me out, and again, for me, it's just, you know, if I'm giving a kid a frame to go home and build, you know, and they're doing something, getting active, being busy, engaging their mind a little bit instead of tuning into, I don't know, whatever's out there on the internet. But, you know, you just got to give them something to do, and that's kind of where we branched off. And yeah, I mean, 108 kids rolled through. You know, it's yeah, it was a great day. You know, a lot of kids you see, they come in shy. You know, you get their hands dirty. They're actually doing something, and yeah, I think the most exciting part was when they busted that truck apart and got to put it back together again. So, but yeah, that was, like I said, a big first step.
We had a lot of compliments. They go the next day, well, the next day.
Yeah, and yeah, a lot of happy kids.
Yeah.
So.
Like Jay said, you know, out there at the summer toy show, I mean, this whole thing just didn't start overnight. I mean, it's been going on for years that we wanted to do something. You talk to everybody, and it's just, everybody has the same idea, but nobody takes the first step. You know, and it just was bothering me. It kind of did, like Jay said. Jay came up to me, handed me a chassis. He says, here, give this to a kid. And the light bulb went off. You know, what better opportunity is there for a kid to get involved and have an opportunity than to have something to help them get started? You know, in today's society, we're living in a world that everything's going tech, and they're forgetting how to use their hands. And I mean, it's part of our own fault because we're not taking the time to do it. You know, and how much better opportunity would there be than to give the kid the chance to do it? You know, and right now we're in a crossroads of sorts. You know, we're looking to find out what we can do in the future. You know, what we can offer these. You know, I mean, everybody's got a lot of great ideas, but the truth is, we need financing, we need manpower to do it. You know, we're looking at being able to get a hold of major manufacturers, but there again, it takes men to go out there and do that. The opportunities to get these kids involved, it's incredible. I mean, we look at the skilled trade gap right now. A guy that can go to college for a 2-year degree and come out with an industrial electrician job can basically walk into a $100,000 job. You know, that society keeps pushing us into 4-year degrees when the truth is the skilled trade gap is getting to be incredible. And part of that's coming back to us not using our hands anymore and teaching people to use their hands. I mean, I don't want to be out of place by saying that way, but, you know, I just see it happening every day, you know. I mean, I see more and more people get in a bad position, and I think it all starts at the roots, and then even with the toy hobby, you know, a lot of people have been focusing on their own stuff. I mean, I do it myself too, and you're forgetting the people that got you there and the people that are going to have to replace you. And I'm trying to more and more take and pass out advice, give people more opportunities. You know, I've been doing the stories for the toy farm there for like 10 years now. The Facebook, there's no doubt about the knowledge is getting shared there. I mean, and the people I've gotten to meet here, I mean, man, just the conversation we had back and forth is incredible with the technology that's going on now. But no, like I said, we're looking for help, looking for advice, looking for knowledge. Anybody that's willing to come help us out, we're willing.
Yeah. Well, basically, we're looking for input. Yeah. Basically, what we're looking for is input. We don't have all the ideas up here. We're just trying to get everybody's ideas and put them to good use. And you know, if somebody's got an idea they think it's going to work, we'll try it. You know, this is a new group, and we're just trying to do something to promote the hobby. So if somebody's got a good idea, we're willing to listen.
Yeah, I told them guys, you know, when we first got together, I said, one of the most important things we have to know and understand is we may fail. You know, and that's some of the hardest things to do is understand that you're going to fail. But I know this much. I see it happen over and over again. One man goes out there and tries doing something, and what happens is the whole world comes down on his shoulders. And I know this much, when you can get a group of people together with the same goal, you can be a whole lot stronger. You know, we're always looking for people for knowledge, wisdom, advice. Together, I guarantee we can move mountains. There's no doubt about it, we can move mountains, but we need to do it together. This farm toy hobby, it's an incredible hobby. I mean, it's second to none to a lot of other experiences I've had out there. You know, but we need to do it together. So like I said, anybody that has any ideas, these toy shows, we want to get more active involvement in it. How do we do that? How do we get more people involved in these toy shows? What's it going to take? You know, these social gatherings, I think, is a great opportunity, given the abilities for the youth to get involved. Great opportunity, but there again, we need manpower, we need financing, you know, and I understand a lot of that's going to fall on our shoulders, but we are more than open to somebody helping us along the way. You know, 5 cents of knowledge can get us a long ways.
If any of you have any kind of questions or any kind of comments, please raise your hand. We'd really love to hear them. We'd really love to address any kind of questions that you have. Gentlemen down there, do you have any comments or anything that you want to add to what we've been talking about? Sure. You're okay.
Well, like I said, I mean, a big part of the rest of you guys, and as I make this statement, I don't do any of my own videos. So, but as you go to take a build, it would be great to maybe do a quick YouTube type snap it, because that is what is dragging the next generation in. I mean, we come around to these shows, me and Doug and such now, we don't know this next generation, but they know us like they're our brothers. And I saw you on YouTube, love what you're doing. You know, we took tips, so like I said, I mean, we give, you know, Dan Meyer is one from the Model Farmer that does a great job. So those of you in the 16th guys, it'd be nice to see, you know, because basically, like I said, that's what, you know, when I come to these shows, the older 16th guys or the awesome builders, the Coleman Wheatleys and stuff, would sit me down. And I mean, I still travel to this day with a miniature toolbox to all the shows, you know, mostly to repair the stuff that we break before we can get on display. But it's there just in case, you know, you've got a kid, you know, Sean Lockwood borrowed a drill or something today, you know, he wants to change out wheels and tires, you know, which is what we all started at. Whether it was 16th, 64th, we were all wheel and tire swappers. And so that's just the next, you know, step of it, just even showing them how to pull. I mean, like I said, our Instagram, I get that question. The two main questions I get the most is how do you change tires and what do you use for dirt? And, you know, if it weren't for the videos and stuff, it's so simple to tell them, you know, it's dirt, guys. We just sift it's fine.
I mean, yeah, just to piggyback off Chris's statement, I mean, it's like for displays, you gotta come to, if you're competing at the farm toy show or anything like that, you need to come with like a full NASCAR crash cart almost, with like spare figures, scenery, tools, glue, everything. But it's, I mean, it's just fun when you got a bunch of kids that just come up, hey, I've seen you on YouTube, or I see your stuff on Instagram, I'm a big fan. It's really humbling when you got that sort of following, and it's just, it's rewarding when you can teach somebody just something as simple as what kind of dirt do you know, what do you use for dirt? So I really enjoy doing that.
You know, I gotta agree with Chris there. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I'm the biggest culprit of any of us not taking enough time to sit down and videotape, put the effort into sharing that knowledge forward. You get tied up into a product, either tied up in a job, you got time constraints, you know, and there's no doubt about it, you know, and I'm definitely not the most tech savvy person in the world. But, you know, in the whole video world, it might be something we might want to look at is how to make a video, you know? I mean, it's bringing us back to the basics, you know, but yeah, you're right, the knowledge is absolutely powerful, you know, I mean, the people that walk up to me today and I read your articles, it still blows my mind. People would take 2 seconds out of their life to read a story that I wrote. You know, just to even take the time to want my opinion or my knowledge. But yeah, I mean, I can't agree with more. You know, knowledge is powerful. You know, sharing it. YouTube is the future. There's no doubt about it. It's not going to go away. You know, but I guess as a community, we need to maybe start working together. You know, wouldn't hurt to have one guy or 2 guys or whatever could say, hey, I can help you out. You know, I know how to do videos because this guy ain't the smartest person in the world. There's no doubt about it. But hey, if somebody wants to help me out, I am more than willing to work with you.
One of the items on our agenda that we want to talk about is what people's thoughts are on the future of the hobby. I mean, you know, it started with 1/16 toys, you know, that we got when we were kids, you know, and some of them stayed in the house, some of them ended up in the sandbox, and then moved on to, you know, precision things. 1/64 scale came in very popular. It was really great. My son and I collected a bunch of them, and we would play around with those and you know, custom and do that kind of stuff. And that was great with him when he was small. And I think it helped him move on to what he's doing today. But I'd just like to hear somebody's thoughts on where they think some of the future is with the hobby and their ideas on the different scales and how that would affect. Question? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Not a question, I want to comment on what you're talking about.
Go ahead, please. Yes, please.
I'm involved in our local community of trying to keep the young youth involved in other activities such as the country club, the Elks Shrine, or whatever. The new generation of kids are not involved in clubs or organizations. They just won't get active in the community. And I probably won't do that. And the other thing about it, you know, I have two younger sons now, or they're not so young, they're in their early 20s, that are not interested in toy club. They've been with me ever since they're little kids coming up. There's just so much out there for them to do besides that. Plus, we have kind of priced ourselves out of that for this new generation. You take a shelf model back when I started collecting in 1978, you go to the dealer and buy one for $7 or whatever. Yeah. Now you go to buy one off the dealer, a shelf model, you're looking at somewhere $40, $50, up to $100. Kids aren't gonna pay that. No. They're just not gonna do it. So I think, and you look at the average age of the people here that are in, you look at this crowd. Yeah. We're all older. Where's the next generation? They're not there. They're not coming. We've got to do something different.
A lot of your comments are absolutely dead set on accurate. You know, money-wise, there's no doubt about it. Things have definitely gotten more expensive. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there are other options out there. This youth build thing, I think, is a great opportunity to give them kids. You know, we can sit there and point fingers on why kids ain't getting involved in, you know, this generation, that generation. The truth always comes back to what their parents get them involved. I understand you can't turn around and force your kid to do this or force your kid to do that, but a lot of times you can sit down with them. You know, and it doesn't even have to be your kid. It could be any kid. And that is exactly what we're trying to do here, you know, trying to get that youth build, that kid to walk through. There were 108 of them kids walked through and had the experience at the National Park Toy Museum. 108 kids had an experience that they will remember. They took that truck home. You know, they took that truck home that they built. It gave 108 kids an opportunity, and hopefully next year we can get 120 kids, you know. But there again, we need help doing it, you know, so we're open to suggestions. Okay, I guess on another subject we got going on, Jeremy and I and a few others, we've been getting into the whole deal, negotiating the scales. I mean, I'm a diehard 16 guy, been that all my life. I got a few 64 scale items. I mean, I appreciate these guys are just talented beyond belief. But the 16 scale items, there's no doubt about that. The dollars and cents can get tied up in an extremely fast hurry. You know, and that's probably part of the reason I've always said customizing with precisions. I say you can take a precision completely apart, put it back together. You can take two tractors completely apart, put it back together, have two custom tractors, and have no dollars invested in parts other than your time. You can sell the one item off as a custom piece and cover the cost of both tractors if you want. Now, I understand not everybody can do that or is going to willing to do that, and they may need parts along the way, but that's why we have been seriously considering the 32nd. I think it's going to be the great, you know, the great connector between the 64 scale and the 16 scale. You know, opportunities to still have detail, opportunities to still have some customization there. But right now, there really isn't any parts available. We're trying to put out some feelers right now. It's kind of a thing where we're wanting people's opinions if they would consider getting into it. I understand you can't get into it if nothing's available, but you know, if enough people are willing to say, hey, yeah, I'm willing to do something, we're willing to work with it too.
Kind of like you're saying, that 30-second stuff, I've never ever paid much attention to it. I got a friend at home, he's probably got at least 2 of every 30-second scale 4-wheel drive's been made so far. So he brought a bunch of them down to my house, and I'm holding these things in my hand. For $30, the amount of detail that's in them just blew my mind. I mean, it's precision level detail for $30 compared to $300 precision 4-wheel drive and 16. So I told him, I said, well, me and Chuck have been talking, we'll see what we can come up with some parts, because just the price, and then the shelf space, you know, if I can take some of my 16th implements and scale them down to 32nd, and you have a 15-knife toolbar instead of twin tacks, it takes up 12 inches of shelf space for a little of nothing compared to what it is on my 16th scale stuff. It's going to take up the whole table. By the time you hook them all together, you know, that's what he said. We just try to get some feelers to see what happens. But like he said, I told him I think we might be opening Pandora's box. You know, looking into this scale a little bit.
Is that bad or good?
I think it's good.
Well,
The problem is with 32nd scale, look at how many years it's been out and how much is available. It's very limited. If you go over to Europe, everybody buys that.
Right.
But here in the States, it's not very well accepted. So, you know, what, are you kicking in a dead horse, really? Or, you know, like me, I collect some 16th, but mainly 64th. I'm not gonna jump into the 32nd scale. I may have one or two pieces just because it was something I wanted. But most guys are, once they've stuck, usually in them two scales, that's where they're gonna be. Jumping into another one, I just don't know that.
Well, we got a couple of representatives from Toy Farmer here, and I'm sure you've done some research because you had a lot.
1979, we built the first 32nd scale.
Yeah. Was it
Started
just
in 78.
was it just merely economics?
No, it
Or
was
was it-
four-wheel drive tractors, they're big.
And that's where you thought
The
the future was?
economics are much different between a 16th scale and a 32nd scale as far as producing. They're not that much different.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were looking into the future, that was the future.
No,
or-
we did it because it was Steigers and they were big tractors and
Yeah.
four-wheel drive, and that's what we continue to do. The 32nd scale.
I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of people who are diehard 64, diehard 16. That's the way they're gonna be, that's the way they'll always be. I think a lot of the reason the 32nd never really took off here in the States is nothing's ever been available for them. You know, it's a skill a lot of us never paid attention to. You know, I didn't have really much attention to it. Finally, I just went to Outback Toys and looked and seen what's available, and I was utterly shocked how much is out there. You know, is it a dead horse? Could absolutely be. If I know this much, you gotta try something. You know, you can't be afraid to fail all the time. You know, if it doesn't work, well, you mark it down as lesson learned. If it does work, look how many people you can affect by it. Look how many people maybe we can bring into the hobby that are, you know, more reasonable price. I can customize this piece for, you know, less money, or buy that piece for less money. There again, it may not work, but you can't be afraid to fail.
One of the things that we wanted to also talk about is what kinds of items and what kinds of things are really in big demand now. What do you see as that? And I'd like to hear from those gentlemen first on that, because they deal with the 64 stuff.
Well, the 64, especially at me and Doug's level of displaying, there's not much out there for us really anymore. The level we're at, it has to be 3D printed. I mean, that's just unfortunately the way life is. It's getting expensive, but the nice thing is now is if Doug wants to run a Kiwani and I want to run a Kraus, we're no longer taking an Ertl thing and painting it that and having just a bad Ertl painted the color. We now have the exact thing we want. To drop back just a little bit, the 16th collector, me on 32nd. I collect a lot of 32nd, but only because I have to. Because I collect Massey Ferguson is my primary. And that's all that I can really get. If we had the 16th, it'd all be 16th. I mean, my father, like, sits a big driving push behind our large scale. And when something comes out, you know, he's like, yeah, I got one, but it's 32nd. Ertl did that beautiful, like 9400T and 32nd, I don't know my deer combines, but a deer combine. And they were in the Ertl outlet store 2 years later. I got them. I'll show you them out of the package. They're gorgeous. But nobody showed an interest. And then Ertl turns around and releases this 116. Costs $1,000. Kelly ordered one, I ordered one. There's probably a bunch of people here who ordered them. So, you know, the market's still there. It's just like I said, the cost is coming. It's so goofy. You know, who would have thought you'd pay $1,000 for a stock toy? Really. But it's something we wanted. It's something we got. And I've heard from rumors. I heard that it's going to be gorgeous. I'm hoping. Yeah.
So more than a toy. Wow.
Well, and that's where really, you know, and that's the funny part of it is I also collect fire truck toys. And, you know, you think we complain about the price here, and I collect a lot of Franklin Mint stuff, and you guys know as soon as I say that name, it's nothing to drop $600-700 for something there. But yet, when you have a Seagraves ladder there in, you know, I think there's a goofy like 125th or something like that, the ladder pulls out. I mean, in the fire world, we expect parts to move mostly. So I don't know, like I said, but in our size, like I said, but with the stuff like that Spec Cast is doing is gorgeous. The Spec Cast stuff in 16th, though, reminds me of the Graham Miller Massey pieces that I have that are beautiful, but the only difference in them is this one has a somebody else's fuel pump, and we literally have, I counted them a couple months ago as I was doing inventory, we have 35 135 Massey's, and maybe that was the number he meant to do in stock. And you could line them up, and unless you're Massey Ferguson, and I mean a serious Massey, unless you're my father, I can't tell you the difference between them, because it was a change in carburetor, changing, this one's gas, this one's diesel, this one's, which some people are still telling, but I don't think, but then SpecCast is doing that to you guys that collect Oliver with the 1/16 Olivers. I mean, so that's like I said, roundabout, we can get what we want now, and it's a lot cheaper for me or Doug to, even at the hideous number in 64th, of paying Adam $300 or $400, but at $300 or $400, I get exactly what I want that looks exactly like the brochure.
Yeah, 3D printing has definitely filled a lot of voids in the 64th and 16th and every scale, to be honest. Being a dairy guy doing dairy displays, it's nothing anymore to get anything from milking equipment to stanchions to pipe, I mean anything that you can think of, robotic milkers, anything in dairy, beef, swine, whatever you're trying to replicate, it's out there anymore and it's available. So it's really helped the display guys for sure. Anything buildings, it's yeah, it's really helped fill the voids in my display. I know that for sure.
I'm gonna look at things a little bit different, if you can imagine, than them guys. I've got to kind of looking at from the major manufacturer, what we really like to see. I know this much as a custom builder, we can get just about any combination, any tractor you got in 5 different variations and 5 different variations of that variation. And I think the biggest hole in the market right now is quality implements to go behind them, you know. I mean, for me, you know, my parts world, muscle tractors is my bread and butter. I mean, it just is the generations that in the 16th scale where I'm at, you know, a lot of where I'm at is muscle tractor people, and to have the matching implements to go behind it and not just another plow. I mean, John Deere 7,000 corn planter, if we had something like that, now a 6-row 30-inch planter to put behind something like a 40/20, it would just be incredible. I mean, I always said there's 4 implements that you could turn around and produce that 90% of the people that walk into the door of a toy show have some experience with. And that is a John Deere 7,000 corn planter, an IH 800 corn planter, a John Deere 220 centerfold disc, and an IH 480 disc. 90% of the people had something to do with one of those implements. It just happened to fit into that market. I know like the major manufacturers, they do have a lot of pressure from the major corporations, John Deere, AGCO, whatever, to produce the modern toys, which I agree, you know, I mean, that's what they want to do, and that's nice too, but, you know, me personally, for a John Deere high detail, definitely precision, 7,000 corn planter, a 220 centerfold disc, I would be basically begging on my knees.
You know, like Chuck said, this new combine coming out, 90% of us farmers are never going to run that combine. We can't afford it, we'll never see it, it's too big. You know, I told him, I said, I'd rather seen a 7720, a 9510, a 2588, or, you know, something in the area that,
15 international.
yeah, something that probably 90% of us have all been in the seat of behind it. You know, this new stuff, the new equipment, it's nice, yeah, it's nice to look at, but meaning-wise, if they build more of the older muscle era stuff, would mean a lot more to a lot of these collectors out here too. And, you know, like Chuck said, the implements. That's one thing I've been trying to do lately, is come out with some nice looking implements to put behind some of these precision tractors on the shelf that are reasonably priced with detail in it, and that's where 3D printing's come in. Like my toolbars, I'd never be able to make them moldized and stuff out of brass and make them continuously all the exact same.
You'd go crazy.
I'd go insane. Having 2 of them, I can tell you from experience, you would. So by 3D printing them, and then, you know, I've got the sealers and everything, so I just add the springs, I add the, you know, blades, and then they look about as real as you can get, and the hoses slide on the tube on the back of the knife, and, you know, they look good on precision tractors. There's not that many implements out there, and a lot of guys, you know, they want to hook something to the tractor to have on there, and like he said, old disc, even 496 disc, you know, would go behind just about any tractor that's out there right now, and look really good on the shelf.
Can I switch gears?
Sure, go right
Put it in row here. I was gonna take a poll here. How many people have either lived on a farm or grew up on a farm? And now the next generation. How many people have lived on a farm or grew up on a farm? Is that our problem, that we don't have the farmers anymore, and we don't have the kids to take this over? I walk around and I see a lot of trucks here. Is that our future? I don't know. That's one thing that we're trying to figure out. Where do we go? What do we do? We're not got all the answers here.
So this is just my personal experience. I have, I don't know, let's call it about 20,000 people a week view my YouTube channel. I have about 5,000 subscribers. Of those 5,000, about 2,800 are under the age of 18. So they're out there, they're just online. They're not here, they're online right now. And that's how we gotta get them. We gotta get them there and then somehow get them here, is what it is.
That's exactly what Jason and we talked about, you know. How do we get the people coming back to these shows again? What do we gotta do to get them here? Like I said, youth builds, I think that's only gonna get us so far. I mean, these round tables, I don't know if that's the future. I don't know if it's gonna work. This might be a flop. I don't know. People's gonna give their opinion after this is over, that's for sure. Wisdom, knowledge, it's powerful. You know, how do we get them people here? You know, it's like these toy shows. I've talked about it to numerous people. You can come to this toy show and you have that one piece you want to find. You can walk this whole toy show 72,000 times and not find it. Grab your phone, hit eBay, and have it delivered to your door. So what do? Somehow we got to figure out how to get people to start wanting to come back home. You know, the hope for us is it's a social thing. It's definitely, you know, for us to come together, the toys are secondary. You know, how do we get more and more people involved in that? We are definitely looking for this wisdom, what people want. Like I said before, we can't be afraid to fail. That's a hard thing to accept, but it's the honest to God truth. You know, a few of the things we may do, it may not work. But I guess we can check that off as that didn't work, you know, and move forward. But said, anybody that's willing to come forward and help us out, I'm more than willing to, you know, take your 2 cents and help us out, you know, and if you guys need help, you know, I talked to Eldon today, you know, with the club that they got here locally, it's hurting hard. Well, we got a lot of people in this generation sitting here right now, you know, that are actively looking to help people out, move forward, give us the opportunity. A lot of times we ain't gonna come knocking on your door. You may have to come knock on our door. You know, I mean, the streets all go 2 ways, I guess. You know, and occasionally we get the door slammed on us that we don't know nothing. I don't want to necessarily say we don't know nothing, but we got this under control. Okay, so fine, I walk away. You know, maybe instead say, hey, yeah, do this or do that for us. It may not be a big thing, but get them involved, get them helping, get them doing something.
I'd actually like to add one member to this panel real quick because he's done what we're kind of talking about. The one thing I will add is Eric, get up here. And I'll have him introduce himself. He's actually the one big thing that we're seeing like at Lafayette show, and everybody wanting to discuss the Lafayette show right now, is the actual if you are a show promoter, you need to promote the classes. The big thing, Eric does one at his house in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and people come to it. We got a little show in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Hasn't been a toy show in that state for 20 some years until Lockwood's put on 5 years ago. We now have anywhere from 200 to 300 people that come to the show, but out of those, 80 of them are kids who get the parents to get their hotel rooms because they know those of us will be here to show them how to do either the customizing or the displays. But you need to, like with the Lockwood Show, they're doing a great job promoting that you will be able to see, you know, Cole Wallenberg and Kelly Munchler and Chris Steeb, the actual national champions, come here to show you how to do this stuff. And more come every year. Like I said, I would like to pass this off to Eric, because like I said, he does a great video series on.
What would you like me to say?
Well, introduce yourself.
Yeah,
Only a 64 guy.
Tell everybody a little bit about you. Okay.
I'm Eric Haselhorst. I have Brockmann H Farm Toys and Brockmann H TV. I did that for 2 years, where I had a 30-minute show every Monday night at 8:30, and I just give everything away I know. Just teach people how to do stuff. Mostly die-cast trucks, 1/64 scale trucks is my bread and butter. I now have the Die-Cast Lab, which is a membership site where I've taken all my free content. You can find readily on the internet. All my free content's now organized in a user-friendly site rather than digging for it. It's just for convenience, you pay me a fee and I let you in there for as long as you want. So that's what I do. The thing he's referring to is the Model Building Summit, going to be at the end of this month. Have it in Dodge City, pay me $200. I get the La Quinta ballroom there in Dodge City, and then I have update guys all weekend long. It's just like related to a guided fishing or a guided hunting trip, where if you've ever been on one of those, everyone goes to hunt, but really it's a big social environment where you hunt and then you have drinks and cocktails and pal around with your buddies all weekend long, and maybe you shot something or you fished something, right? So in this environment, we get together, I provide all the amenities, and then I provide all the tools and the paint booth and everything, and then you build some models all weekend long, and you're away from your family, you have dedicated time to build whatever the fritz you want. If you need my help, I'm right there to help guide as far as I can help you. And what's really cool about this environment is the guys help each other. I don't do a whole lot aside provide all the resources and the place and the space. And the guys help one another. And one of my friends here who's been on the trip annually since I started could testify to that. It's a good time. So that's what could be here.
That's, like I said before, the Lafayette show under Alan Chestnut's command was the one who really got into doing the symposiums. In the first year, we saw, maybe you saw 20 or 30 kids, and it's kids. It is kids. It is that, like Doug talked, that 7 to 15, 16-year-olds, the ones that are building them for their FFA project, for their local 4-H fair, or just want to do one. And we have a lot of them from the city whose grandfather farmed and they listened to his stories. But now they live in town because that's where Dad got a job. But they still got a nice little table like this, so they can put a little display on it and have fun and take some pictures. And but like I said, promoting those classes of, Chucky, as simply as, you're going to teach them how to change out and paint rims. The one thing I will say from our experience at Lafayette that we started to work toward is you almost need to offer, almost like college, the same class, maybe 2 different hour periods, because it was kind of, well, I wanted to be at this, but I had to be, because in our case, most of the ones that come to see us were competing as well. And at Lafayette, they hold them on Saturday, where it'd be nicer if they held them on Friday, because, well, and as a judge there as well, we had the problem of, well, I need to teach my class, but we got to rush it up a little bit because I got to go teach. But, I've taught static grass there. I've taught the resistant soldering to the 16th and 64th guys both. If you do brass and you don't have a resistant solder, oh my God, they're the greatest thing since, they, especially as our hands get older and you can't grip, the stuff you can do with them is awesome. But I'll pass this further.
Yes, you may. Please do so.
Yeah, I think everybody's brought up excellent points. Eric, it sounds like you've kind of built like the perfect model of what works today. And I guess, again, being kind of, it's very much a generational thing in my opinion. I'm not great with a phone. I know how to text, I know how to take pictures, I know how to take phone calls. But, as I've kind of started doing more builds and stuff, it's just, I look at the younger guys and their successful businesses that they're running, and it's all very media based. And it comes down to using the right keywords, taking enough pictures and putting them on blast on Instagram every week. And I think in the same way, that's how that generation functions, like the current generation. And to a degree, we need to tap into that. And, you know, again, Eric, it sounds like you really kind of nailed that. It's just like you're able to reach the people who, you know, even kids out on the farm, you know, they may not be able to make it to shows like this, but through media and social outlets, it's just like you can reach them, and then, you know, you're giving them kind of like a summit to shoot for every year. And, you know, it's just like, hey, that's that, you know, ultimate place for them to be, but you're keeping them engaged. And I think that's part of the obstacle is how do we reach that generation and keep them engaged, and then, you know, give them something to shoot for every year.
Something else, Eric?
Yeah, better.
Go ahead.
So one thing I found with guys that want to do custom trucks, and I'm sure it applies to any hobby. It doesn't matter if it's this one or basket weaving or whatever. A lot of people want to do it, but they don't have the confidence to try. In my domain, guys want to cut up they want to take a Dremel into a $70 truck they bought from Lauren over there, and they just do not have the confidence. They're scared to cut into that. Well, all they need is someone to hold their hand a little bit, like me or anyone else in this room. Once they have someone to hold their hand a little bit and then gain the confidence, then they can do the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and then they're buying custom parts, and then they're thinking, wow, I think I want to put this in the show over here, you know, in the competition. And that's how we gravitate to that higher level, is just give them a little hand, give them a little pat on the back. And like I said, there's people in this room that used to buy from me and they don't buy from me anymore because they can do it on their own. And that is the greatest compliment I think I could receive. And that's really what builds this.
No, I gotta really say this, but first time I really ever heard about what goes on. I've heard small tidbits of what's going on in Lafayette. You know, I've never heard what Eric does there. Personally, I'm sitting there thinking he maybe should give us classes on knowing how to promote. You know, because I think that's where we're lacking, because we're not all that tech savvy up here. You know, it'd be nice to start with that. I mean, we did some seminars out the Dyersville show this fall. We had one seminar Jeremy and I did about drilling and tapping, and all of a sudden that went off into painting, and you know, and he's absolutely right. You know, a lot of people are afraid of that first step. That first step to work on something. I'm a guy, I deal with, you know, $1,000 tractors, and I mean, I can understand how the intimidation gets there. I try to tell people, you know, sometimes it's like building a house. You know, you just don't tackle it all at one time. You look at it, if you try building a house, it just blows your mind. You can't do it. But if you start by digging a hole, putting the footings in, putting the walls up, you know, one piece at a time, all of a sudden you get back and you're done. But it's knowing that next step, taking that next step, having the confidence to have that next step, and there again, not being afraid to fail. You know, not being afraid to admit that you know, need help, or, you know, not being afraid to try it. So, I'd love to get more information from Eric there as far as, you know, what we can do to help do this, and I think a lot of it, you know, with our show promoters here too, you know, what do we need to do to talk with the show promoters to start doing this stuff here? You know, the other shows around the country, you know, I think we need to start with our big shows first, you know, and then let us see if it blossoms out farther, but we need to have our promoters talking to us about it too.
Well, I'll do anything you guys want to do, really. We've got the room. Just make the suggestions, you know, start the dialogue, like you say. We'll work with you.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. That's what this whole thing is about. We're looking for ideas. What do people that come to toy shows, what do they want to take the time to sit down and do? Do they want to sit at a seminar for an hour, or do they just want to go to the toy show, look at the toys, and go home? And we kicked around the idea of maybe having a seminar on insuring your collection. Maybe that'd be something we could look at, or anything, whatever. If somebody's got an idea, we want to hear about it. So we want to try to promote it and see what everybody wants.
Next year's the 40th, so anything, I'll help you guys do anything I can in my power. Let's put it that way.
And I guess it goes way beyond just the St. Louis show here, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's the national show, summer shows, St. Sioux Falls, Lafayette, like I said, big shows start with Amanda, we've already talked about the summer show coming up here. We want to have a seminar in the auditorium in Beckman about insuring your collection. We already, right now, we got one or two assurance adjusters, I'm not sure exactly how many, come basically explain what you need to do. I find that the big ape in the corner that nobody wants to talk about. You know, you buy one piece at a time. You don't think nothing of it. You know, it's $100 here, $100 there, another $100, and all of a sudden you step back one day and you go, wow.
When did you sell a tractor for $100?
Well, you're getting my point. I bought a lot.
Question.
Another comment.
Go ahead.
I think you made a comment about the internet, and I also work for a bank, and we don't build brick and mortar anymore nowadays. We build just a little room, probably half the size of this room now for a...
Where is my money?
Well, we don't, because the new generation doesn't cut. My two boys that farm with me, they probably haven't stepped in the bank in over a year. It's all online. Do everything online. And just like you said, that's what's happening to the toy show.
I can't remember the last time I stood in the bank. Well, I didn't. I do. I had to get
up. My other comment is
you were wearing a mask.
Talking about I know on Facebook a lot of people are re-customizing these and doing that, but as our farms are getting bigger and bigger, my two boys don't have time to, I mean, you know, they'd like to come to the toy show once in a while, but they don't have time. As we're getting bigger and growing and more acres and stuff, they don't have time for this. So I don't know what's going to change that, because we have to get bigger to be competitive.
And there's no doubt about it, the world's changing, plain and simple. You know, every one of us has 168 hours in a week. What you do with it's your choice. You know, you can't force somebody to take this on that they want, but not everybody's sitting in them shoes. You know, and a lot of times you don't need to come to a show to promote the hobby. You know, a lot of times just sitting down with somebody else can do the job too. You know, I don't want to disregard what you're talking about there, but I guess want to talk about a little bit about the summer show again here with the insurance situation. So I want to get back to that again. I know Dale and I have talked about it, that we're trying to get it figured out, that there's a program that we got out there now where basically you can document all your toys. That you can I don't know exactly how it works, I've never done it. Rick Connor over there has done it, where you can go in and you bought a tractor, you paid X amount of dollars for it, you bought it on this date, what's it valued at, when you bought it, what's it valued at currently, to document what could happen. I mean, Rick there is a perfect example. He lost his entire collection. John Brockmann here, he ended up losing his, he didn't lose his collection, but he got severely issued with a tornado. Nobody expects a tornado to show up at your door. You know, Rick Connor's over there ended up getting flooded with a house that, you know, when it wasn't raining, wasn't that? You know, but there's some sizable collections out there that people don't even think about until you step back and look at it. And I guarantee I'm one of the worst culprits for it. But there again, we need to figure out a way of educating people and let people know what we can do. So, just to reiterate, this summer at the Summer Toy Show, we plan on having the auditorium there. We having a seminar in the auditorium at Beckman High School on insuring your collection and documenting the value of it.
Well, that was my comment. We can't go to Dyersville in the fall. We can't go to the summer show. We're still...
What we plan on doing is what we're doing right here. We plan on trying to Facebook Live it, YouTube it, whatever that we can do.
Or let's make Dyersville later then. I know it's outside.
I can't do that. Well, part of the thing with using the summer show, first of all, the auditorium is available. At the fall show, that's where they got the option. You know, another reason, the summer show is the show that the National Farm Toy Museum promotes. And that is kind of what we're working with here, you know, to do it. But like I said, the idea is we want to have it videotaped out there free for the whole world, you know, to see on YouTube. You know, we discussed YouTube ain't going away, it's here. Well, will it be right? Will it be accurate? Will everybody happy? I guess probably not. But we're going to try. So It may, if it does go good, maybe we'll have one here too. It might be for a whole new crowd, maybe that's something we can do, But the plan is to start with one, and that's Dyersville.
That's also, like these guys that do the YouTube videos of going through shows, not just the displays, the models, the tables, everything, that helps to advertise
the show itself.
Because look at how many people look at it online. You look at the views, 16,000 people that show up at the show, but they're watching it on YouTube, so.
Gentlemen, any more comments or concerns? We've been at this an hour, and I know that as an educator, as a teacher, any more seat time than 60 minutes is not very fulfilling. So I'd like to thank everybody for participating. I think to summarize a little bit, some of what we are wanting to try to accomplish is to advance education into how to be involved more closely to get those kids involved with the kids, adults, yeah. Because the majority of the collectors are not farmers anymore, but we have a connection to the farm. We've either been on the farm, we had grandparents, parents who were on the farm, and it's just a piece of history that we just really don't want to lose. Anything else?
Anybody out there, let us know what you want to hear about.
Yeah.
Anybody got thoughts? I mean, we're looking for advice, looking for wisdom. What would you like to see us try to do? Sir.
Well, one thing have you thought about, somebody mentioned the FFA and projects, the 4-H projects. I'm from Ohio, and we had a small museum, and we created a 4-H club about the museum to help promote the museum and things. And maybe that maybe some of you can volunteer, have our own regional counties or things, promote a 4-H club, and because 4-H is always wanting new projects and new things. And same with our FFA clubs. In Ohio, most of our FFA clubs are part of our locations.
Yeah. A good portion of the toy shows around the country are sponsored by just
right,
the whole
right,
FFA chapter.
And so maybe we can, I don't know, I'm just thinking something, help, go back to that might help get more kids involved. And then I also want to say, one of the, first I'm here, and one of the reasons why I came here is because of this round table. It was something to do other than just going around shopping for toys. That's what would draw me, or what I'm interested in, is something to learn about. So I think your workshops or your seminars would be very useful.
Very good.
I got a connection right to the Facebook page.
Oh, yes. The National Farm Toy Museum Collectors and Builders Society has a Facebook page, and please get on it. Since we've started that, we've had a tremendous increase in members joining and putting short videos of what they're working on. Sir. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I work at Menards, and in one of the things, they've got a tutorial on running on a loop all the time. And I don't know if you could put together some kind of a screen or something in the toy show in the area of interest where you could actually run a loop of how, this is how you change a tire, this is how you do this. This is who you contact if you have any questions. These are the resources that you have available. You could run a loop on a video screen somehow in the show itself that continues, and then those that are interested can look at it.
Pizza. There we go.
Thank you everybody for coming out.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hopefully people stick around. We got pizza over there. I got some drinks. We can talk about a lot of this stuff more one-on-one with you guys. Other than that, again, thank you very much.
Do you move for adjournment?
I move for adjournment.